Hood scholarship.
That's right.
This is not your average podcast.
Welcome to Hood Scholarship. It's your boy Kalani Star back with another segment of Kalani Star Presents Hood Scholarship.
Hood scholarship.
In this episode, we got to get some straightening about some information floating through the community, being passed off as a fact with minimal evidence to support it.
Break yourself, fool.
So let's get an over, inner, and understanding about what we're doing here, people. This walk we're on, many of us refer to it as truth. No matter which community and doctrine you subscribe to, we're all under one accord and agree that we've been bamboozled with our history. We've been fed misleading information that has hidden our history from us, leading us all to the same agenda of pushing quote-unquote truth. So now that we've established our common denominator of false propaganda from the oppressors, we must refrain from repeating this process when inviting others to join this walk along with us. Although there are a myriad of instances in which I could be referring to, today I'm going to zero in on one specific instance in which a community has been bamboozled with this false propaganda to push their narrative. And this community now I'm speaking on is the Hebrew Israelites. And the information we're discussing is in reference to a quote Hitler allegedly said. And here's the motivation for the PSA from @Jazzy_Jazz59 on TikTok.
You're right. It's a lot deeper than just the Bible. But I promise you I'm not going to open my mouth and speak on anything I'm not sure about. But look, if you don't want to go to the library or Amazon to purchase any books, Hitler even confessed before he died why he killed all of those so-called Jews. Despite the fact that he is a complete psychopath, he knew that the Jews were black. He even knows who we are to God.
So before we make some corrections, this is by no means a shot at the sister, but merely an example of how quickly false propaganda can run rapid through the community, which is why I stress the importance of sources and references. Now let's break down what she said.
You're right. It's a lot deeper than just the Bible.
And I agree. It is deeper than the Bible. In Proverbs 25:2 out the KJV says,
"It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter."
Hood scholarship.
But the kicker is when she proceeds to say,
So I'm not going to open my mouth and speak on anything I'm not sure about.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Hitler even confessed before he died why he killed all of those so-called Jews.
But my question is, where's the evidence? After making a statement such as,
But I promise you I'm not going to open my mouth and speak on anything I'm not sure about.
Your immediate statement after Hitler's alleged quote should have been your source from your library or Amazon. But don't worry, I got you. The document can be found circulating all over the internet stating, Hitler said, even in his death he would start World War III. One of his soldiers asked how. Hitler replied, the day mankind finds out what I was trying to defend this nation Germany from, then that's the day World War III will start. For on that day, mankind will learn that I was trying to save my nation from the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Jews. For if the Americans wins the war, then they will conquer the world and forever be a slave to the Jews, and they will try to conquer God. Do you know who America has in its possessions? No, the soldier replied. The Americans has the jewels of God. The Americans have stolen God's precious jewels. What do you mean, his precious jewels? The soldier asked. Hitler said, America has stolen the Jews of God, his jewelry, the Negroes. They are the true Hebrews. The quote first started surfacing in a book titled Jerusalem by Deneen Barnett from 2016, which specifically cites a source, and that source being Robert Edwin Herrnstein's The Nazis as the Origin. To be sure, Deneen Barnett's source was accurate, I went on a World Wide Web scavenger hunt, and after a $10 purchase on eBay and an approximately 200-page, well-illustrated history of the Nazis read, not once did I come across his quote.
Hood scholarship.
And then again, in 2018, the quote resurfaces in a book entitled The Hidden Treasures That Lies in Plain Sight Part 4, The Day of the Lord and the End of America, by Jeremy Shorter. Yet Shorter, probably just another victim to the regurgitation of this propaganda, listed no sources in his book.
This is not
Although black Germans weren't Hitler's main target, they did suffer persecution due to Hitler's fear of tainting his alleged master race bloodline. In 1924, while imprisoned in a Landsberg prison, Hitler wrote in his famous autobiographical manifesto Mein Kampf, English translation My Struggle, the Jews had brought the Negroes into the Rhineland with the clear aim of ruining the hated white race by the necessarily resulting bastardization. So it's obvious he had a clear distinction between Jew and Negro. He even blamed the Jews for purposely bringing the Negroes into the Rhineland to mix out his quote-unquote superior race. Despite the fact he grew up in a Catholic upbringing, Nazi Germany had no ties to the Bible, but more of a Hindu belief, hence the term Aryan and the use of the swastika that predates the perverted Hitler version by millennia. Nazi Germany's superior Aryan white race theory stemmed from an 1871 science fiction novel entitled The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton, in which the French author Louis Jacquelet, the Polish explorer Ferdinand Ossendowski, and Adolf Hitler all considered to have hidden wisdom of a subterranean species of man that was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and considered the superior man. The Holocaust Encyclopedia, which can be accessed online, states this about black Germans in Nazi Germany. The Nazi German regime did not have an organized program to eliminate African Germans. However, the regime discriminated against and persecuted them. Some black people in Germany and German-occupied territories were isolated. An unknown number were sterilized, incarcerated, or murdered. So before we go praising Hitler for claiming to be protecting God's children, when in actuality he was doing this, we should do what Sis says.
But I promise you I'm not going to open my mouth and speak on anything I'm not sure about.
That's my pleasure.
Hood scholarship. This is not your average podcast.
So let's review the material. The source for this quote was shared over 10,000 times on social media, first stemming from a miscited source in 2016 called Jerusalem by Deneen Barnett. It resurfaced 2 years later in a book called The Hidden Treasures That Lies in Plain Sight Part 4, The Day of the Lord and the End of America by Jeremy Shorter, where Shorter cites not one source for his alleged claim. In his author's biography, you can see the connection to the Hebrew Israelite community. We also learned that the quote is never mentioned in Robert Edwin Bernstein's The Nazis, which Barnett claimed the origin of the source for her book. We now know, based off his own autobiographical manifesto, Mein Kampf, that he saw Negroes as a threat to the bloodline of their so-called superior race, an attempted bastardization from the Jewish people. There is not one shred of evidence pointing to the fact that he thought anything but the exact opposite of what the quote claims he said, which is the reason for fact-checking information before passing it off as a fact. And when they ask you why you're fact-checking them, just quote my lovely homegirl Diamond from down there at the Players Club.
Because I don't trust anybody's information but my own.
That's my pleasure.
And until next class, stay sourced up and don't fall victim to social media scholarship.
Hood scholarship. This is not your average podcast. Hood scholarship.
Wake yourself, fool.
This is not your average podcast.
And you know this, man. That's right. That's my pleasure.
Hood scholarship.